Hello everyone. Very good morning. Yeah, first of all, thanks for joining on this demo. Let me introduce myself first. So I'm Akhil. So I have total 6 years of experience into this Azure DevOps and cloud and deployments as well. So in the 6 years, I have deployed multiple applications on this Azure cloud and created a multiple number of pipelines and architectures. I have built all these things. And teaching, I have total 3 years of experience on this teaching field. So along with this, I'll try to provide support as well. Majorly, my strengths are on this Azure cloud only. So whatever the resources you wanted to create in Azure, we can create both manual way and automation. Also, I can provide on this Azure. So let's start our demo first, so that I'll take up your questions at the last. So I'll share my screen quickly. Let me know once you're able to see my screen. Hope you guys are able to see my screen. So today's demo, we'll try to cover all these four items, agendas. So watch it first. We'll check what is cloud computing and introduction to Azure cloud and core resources and services which Azure offers. And we will see how to combine this Azure with our DevOps and DevSecOps. So ultimately, if you will add any cloud, we need to use it in our deployments or in the DevOps practices, right? So that we will check. So before going to the cloud computing, I'll take you all into the back in time where cloud is not there. Okay. So let us take in the era 2008 to 2010, something that is 2010. So where the cloud is not there. So at that time, how the deployment will happen is the deployment will happen in the local laptops. Let us say I have an application, e-cloud application, which I wanted to build for my organization. E-cloud application I wanted to build for my organization, where I'll sell my products online, like Flipkart and Amazon, right? Online platform. Okay. So to develop this application, I require a development team, right? Dev team I need. So what they will do is they will develop the application in their local laptops, correct? They use their local laptops and develop their code. After that, they will, once the development is completed for my eCloud application, so they will hand over this to QA team for testing, right? So again, another QA team in my organization. What they will do, these guys will test daily code and they will test the same code in their laptops as well, in their machines as well. Okay, so now, so QA team will also said that application is working fine, so we can go with live. So on the at that period of time, 2010 era, like we don't have only like laptops only, like there we can able to deploy applications. Here only we are running the application in the laptops itself. So now we'll once the application is gone live and you traffic coming to this application, let us say 10 to 5 to 10 users we are using the application, or 5 to 10 users are using the application from your laptops itself. Now your application is getting popular and you are getting more number of requests, where request users has been increased from 10 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300. All the users are getting increased to access your application, which is deployed in your local machines, which is not your local laptop. Okay. This is where you are getting it. You'll face an issue like capacity issue. So on that time, the maximum capacity is core CPU 16 GB laptops we have, right? Core CPU 16 GB laptops we have. So once you are getting the users, more number of users hitting your application, you may encounter that there is a space issue, there is a capacity issue in your laptops. And one more thing is, if anything goes down, like if your laptop shut down, then entire application will also goes down, correct? If your laptop is we have shut down, then every application running inside the laptop will be closed, right? So that is also one of the scenario where we are not able to provide the response to the user's request actually. So to eliminate this issue, capacity and outage of your application or your laptops, to eliminate this issue, we have moved to server deployments. From our laptop deployments to server deployments, we have moved. So that is where server comes into the picture. So from the evaluation, so from here to server we have gone. So let us say this is one of the server. So what we need to do is we need to purchase a server and we need to deploy our applications over there. So on that time, the cloud was what we call the distributor for this server is IBM or HP, IBM. We do have one HP or IBM. So these are the vendors actually. So these guys will provide servers. So we need to purchase a server from these guys and we need to use them for our application deployments. Okay, server. This is a server. I have purchased a server from IBM and IBM or HP, which is 100 CPU for an example, 100 CPU, 100 GP machine it is. Okay, for example, I'm saying. So this machine, okay, I have purchased this one. So what I need to do now? Once I have purchased the server, I need to install the server in my local organization, in my organization. So that is where one more team comes into the picture called admin team. Okay. So what this admin team will do? Admin team has to take this server and install the server in your local organization server room. So in our organization, in every organization, we do have server rooms. So which is nothing but our own data center, which is a server. So in this server room, we will have different racks, server racks. We'll call it as this is one rack, and this is another rack, and this is another rack. So there will be racks in our server room. So what we need to do is we need to put this server inside our server room, well, one of the rack, which is nothing but we are installing that server in our organization. So it is my 100 CP, 100 GB memory server. And you can also procure one more server. You can put it in another rack. You can put it in another rack for one more server. So like this one, we'll organize all the servers in our server room. Now, so what we have done, we have not only purchased the server from the vendor, this IPM or SP, we have installed that server in our local lab, in our organization server. So once you have installed the server, you need to provide few provide like cooling system, and power supply and networking. So all these we need to provide to the server as well in order to work with the server. Okay. Now so what we have done, we have purchased the server, we have installed in our server room in a server rack, and we have provided all these three separately. Yes, cooling system we have provided for the server we have installed and forwarded power supply and provided network catchment. Now it is ready to use this deployment for the deployments. So the server is ready to deploy the application. So we have deployed the application in the server. How it will be is like we have logged into the server and we have deployed all the applications, whatever the dev team has deployed here. Okay. Now the application is deployed here. Application is deployed here. Okay, so till here this point. Now I'll route the traffic onto this server only. Traffic will come to this server. All the traffics will be coming to the server. Now the users also increased from hundreds to thousands. So let us say 10,000 to 20,000. So 10K, let us say 10K to 20K users are getting this request about affecting this server and getting the response from my application. So now everything is fine. This is where two more conflicts will come. Two more drawbacks or issues will come. So the first drawback is maintenance. So what is maintenance? So here developing and testing the application will require 50% of effort. Let us assume developing and testing the application requires 50% of math force and efforts we need. Whereas maintaining the servers will require more than 50%. More than 50% effort we need. Okay, right. So more than 50%. Why? Because we need to have a separate admin team. We need to install the server in our server room. We need to provide all these cooling system, power supply, networking, always we need to provide. So one more additional thing we are having, and additional maintenance also we are doing with help of this server deployments, right? And the next drawback is cost. So here, let us say this 100 CPU, 100 GB machine is costing us $100. An example I'm saying, this is $100 it is costing us. Now this is where how effectively we are using the server which we have downloaded, which we have installed. Well, let us say you are getting a maximum traffic on the time where 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to, let us say 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. For 2 hours only you are getting the traffic to your application. Remaining 22 hours, 22 hours in the day, minute, 22 hours in a day, you are not getting any traffic, meaning that you are underutilizing your server. But you have purchased 100 CPU, 100 GB machine, a huge machine you have purchased, but you are using only for 2 hours, which is effectively you are using. So in this case, we can say this server is underutilized. The server is underutilized. But we are paying exact number of we are paying full amount of cost what we have or what they have offered actually. Right. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure our cost is optimized for the servers. So with here we can't do anything because without full payment they won't provide you the server. Okay. So even though you are taking less number of CPUs and less number of GB memory machine, they'll ask him to spend full amount and then only they'll provide you the server. Here we have taken full amount of we have provided full amount of memory and we are not using fully utilizing server. If we even also compare with your laptop, if we have purchased our laptop but we used it for only 9 hours or 8 hours only, right? But we have given full amount of money to the vendor while purchasing the laptop. Here also the same scenario. So these are the two drawbacks we have when it compared to the server deployments. So earlier we used to deploy on laptops and local machines. So there we have a capacity issue and the users are not able to get the downtime issue as well. So here we have eliminated that capacity with help of this one and downtime also. But we have got two more drawbacks, which is not maintenance and cost. So to overcome these two issues, again we have evaluated from our deployments from server to cloud. Server to cloud. So from server to cloud deployments we have installed. So this is our cloud. So what this cloud will provide you is, this cloud will provide you the resources over the internet. So we can simply create the resources of the cloud and we can use it. You don't need to do any maintenance, all these things. So at that time, the first cloud provider is AWS. And the next one is Azure, Microsoft Azure. And the next one we have is GCP. So all these are cloud providers, which they will provide cloud services to use it actually. So here we'll talk about Azure. Azure Cloud, what it will do is, what it will offer is, Azure Cloud, what it will offer is, it will tell that I'll offer the resources what you have, what you need. You pay me on hourly basis. So how can we achieve that one means? So as part of the maintenance, Azure will have different regions. Okay, Azure will have different regions. Let us say East US, Europe, EU, India, Central India, and Australia. We define different regions in Azure. So what this region contains is, these regions contains big number of data centers. Okay, so they'll contain data centers. So let us say one of the example, this is East US region. In East US region, you will have multiple data centers. So this is one data center, and inside this one data center, you will have different tracks like we have in the server room. This is one smaller unit as a server here, a server room. If you put it in the larger base, that is called data center in the Azure. So there they will procure their own server. They will procure their own server inside the one of the data center. So this is where they will procure one of the data center server called 100 CPU, 100 GPU memory, for example. So Azure will have 100 CPU, 100 GB machine here in its own cloud. What you need to do is, what it will do is, it will offer the shared service. So what it will offer? It will offer sharing the CPUs and memory for our usage. So what you need to do? You need to request Azure that, hey Azure, I need 2 CPU, 4 GB memory machine I need, or a virtual machine I need. So what it will do is, it will take 2 CPU, 4 GB from this machine. It will share this resource over the cloud, over the internet to us. So it will share the resources of this data server, 2 CPU and 4 GB memory VM. It will offer us to create, and once it is created, we can use that machine. Now here if you see, we have eliminated the maintenance. So are we installing the server in our server in our local server room? No, right? and we maintaining cooling, power supply, networking, all these things. We are not using all these things. So this is how we can eliminate the maintenance of our servers. Simply we can connect, we can switch, we can install the server, we can connect to the server, and we can use it. That is as simple as that. We don't need to install the servers in our local system, local organization, in our server road, provide cooling area, cooling system, power supply network. All these are not required at all. Simply all the infrastructure maintenance will be taken care by the Azure Cloud. Simply they offer us the service to use it. So that is what we are calling it as. That is what we are calling it as cloud computing. That is what we are calling it as cloud computing. The typical definition is accessing the resources on the cloud over the internet is called cloud computing. So over the internet, Azure Cloud will provide the resources. We need to access it from our account on the internet actually. So that is what this Azure cloud computing means. So similarly, AWS and TCP will follow the same structure of providing the resources. The major difference between all these three is scalability and reliability. So all these three will provide same kind of resources with the different names. But scalability and availability will be considered across all these three. And when it compares to all the other three, we can go with Azure Cloud. Whereas we have eliminated this maintenance with help of Azure Cloud. Next, how we can eliminate this cost? So Azure Cloud will provide you pay-as-you-go model to your resources. What is this pay-as-you-go model? So here in the server deployment, for 100 CPU, 100 GB machine, we have already what we have done. We have already paid $100 while purchasing the server itself. But in Azure, what it will do is Azure will tell us that, hey user, you use the service on hourly basis. How many hours you are running the service, any service from the cloud? I'll charge you based on the hourly basis, so not for entire 24 hours of the day. Okay. So let us say 2 CPU, 4 GB machine you have taken. It is costing around $0.1 or $0.2. Anything maybe $0.1 per hour for this machine what you have taken. Okay. Or else for this machine also, anything it may be. So how many hours we are running for our application? Our application needs 2 hours of actual runtime, correct? 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So 2 hours only I can run this application. For 2 hours, it will charge 2 into 0.1 hour. So $0.2 we can able to generate, correct? If you calculate it for the month, 0.2 into 0.2 into 30, how much you will get? That $6 you will get, correct? So $6 of monthly cost you can generate. Or else if you put 0.5 here, $0.5 per hour, it is maximum up to $30 or $60 you will get. So which is more than 50% less cost for our server deployables. Let us say you are getting $50 per month here for a year what you have taken, $50 per month. $50 per month or $20 per month or $30 per month cost you are getting. When you compare the cost with the server deployments, it is very much less, and we can also have a feasibility to scale. So this is how, with a pay-as-you-go model on the cloud, you can also increase. We can also reduce the cost. Also, we can cost optimize the servers. So once you have procured the VMs here, it will also act as a server, right? Again, you will deploy your application in the cloud. Again, you will deploy your application on the cloud. Application deployed here, application deployed here. Here you can get, here you will give n number of users. So users, you can give any number of users for the cloud. So the cloud, Azure Cloud will take care of your user management as well, like load balancing, networking, traffic routing. All this will be managed with help of Azure resources. 100K users which we pass, for an example. All these users will be getting proper response from the Azure Cloud with help of its Azure resources. So clear, right? How we have evaluated our deployments over the time. So first we have done with the laptops, and we have moved to the servers, and we have moved to the cloud deployments. So this is Azure Cloud. Let us see what Azure Cloud will give you the resources. The next concept is, what is the Azure Cloud introduction we have done just now. What is it is offering, and we'll see what is the core resources and services Azure offers. Okay, resources Azure operate. So when it comes to resources, we do have lot many resources categories. So first one is compute category. Everyone know compute. So in this compute category only, you will try to install virtual machine scale set, Okay, all this you will write it Kubernetes clusters, container registries, containers, all this you are able to install in the compute category. Here you need to provide how much CPU and how much memory you need and what is the region you need. All these things you'll provide here in this compute resource category. So this is one of the major category. And we do have next one here. Next one we have is load balancing, load balancers, storage accounts, databases, and we have networking. So these are the major categories of Azure with ours. Azure will offer lot many categories of resources. So these are the major categories we are going to learn to deploy our application across the cloud. Okay. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to show you a quick overview of the Azure portal. So there where we can find all these things and what it is offering. So I'll quickly go into the Azure portal now and um, I'll try to show you what is the Azure offering the services. See here, compute. So this is the categories. As I told you, categories. If you put category in this category, you can able to learn all these things. Virtual machine, okay, virtual machine scale set, SSH keys, image, hosts, and computing infrastructure. All this you can able to see. And you can also have a PaaS service, serverless and microservices. All this you can able to see. So we'll check all these things in detail when and as per the post goes on. So we'll see how to create all these resources and how to use all the resources. And again, you have a container category. This is where you can able to see Kubernetes clusters, container instances, registries. Okay, container apps, container app jobs, all this we can able to see here. In the database sections, these are on the databases you can create from the Azure SQL databases, Cosmos DB, PostgreSQL, MySQL. All these are related to database. Azure it is cache. And I mean, after that one, you can able to see networking. So here in the Azure, even though Azure is a public cloud, even though Azure is a public cloud provider, at the public cloud also you can create private network for your infrastructure or for your entire resources. So that is what we are calling it as networking. Here you'll able to create virtual networks, public IP, private IP, with DNS, zones, all this you can able to create here. But also you have security and storage account. So storage, blob storage, disks, Azure disk, all this you can able to create in this category. So Azure will offer you different categories based on their usage. You can select the category as you want, and you will create the resource as you want. For each resource, they'll offer you a pay-as-you-go model only. So once you have created the resource and it is running, then they will charge you per hourly basis. They will charge you. So these are the categories that will offer. Major categories we have seen, and we can use to create all these resources once the course goes on. Not only creating, I'll tell you how to create resource, and I'll tell you how to use it and how to integrate the resource with other resources as well. Right. So these are the major resources Azure will offer us. Then we will go with this how to combine Azure with DevOps and DevSecOps. So let us see what is DevOps first. Well, we'll let you what is DevOps. Everyone will tell that DevOps is a practice where we can combine development and operations team. So this is the practice where we can put our automation to deploy the code to the server. Okay. So it will require majorly it will require CI/CD tools. CI/CD tool it will require to perform DevOps principles or DevOps practices. In these tools, we have a lot many tools in the market. So, open market, you have a lot many tools. The popular tool is Jenkins. Again, Azure Pipelines, GitHub Actions, GitLab CIC. So these are the popular tools. They are maybe on some will use GitLab, Lab, yes. So that these are the popular tools we can use to achieve the CI/CD practice. So what did the CI/CD means? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. So where you will continuously push the code to the repo. So the CI/CD pipeline, this tool will take the code and they will build the code. Once the code is built, so that executables are with that executables are, you'll create a Docker image and we'll deploy the Docker image to the environment. Either it is a cloud environment or a local environment. So this is the simple CI/CD. Okay. So along with this one, what you need? So along with the CI/CD process, you need integrations with the tool. Let us say you have used Jenkins tool or a GitHub Access tool or GitLab CI/CD tool. that will it integrate with our deployment environment, correct? So let us say I want to deploy application in Azure. So here I'll write. So this is Azure Cloud, and this is the Jenkins or any of the tool. So I wanted to make the connection between these two. That is what integration between. So if you have a connection between these two, Azure will talk to the no, sorry, Jenkins will talk to the Azure Cloud and it will deploy the application over there. Jenkins and this is Azure. Okay, that is what integrations also we need. And after that, we need networking, security, networking at the security, and artifact storage. So once the build is completed, we need to store artifacts, right? Artifacts, storage we need. And we need a few other things in the CI/CD pipeline. To achieve DevOps practices, we need all these things. Okay. So now how I need to integrate this DevOps with our how to combine, how to achieve this DevOps with help of Azure means Azure will offer you a DevOps set correct directly. So if you go to here in this all categories section or the basis section, here you can able to see DevOps, right? Click on DevOps. Here itself you can able to achieve all the CI/CD tools and all the DevOps practices. All the DevOps practices you can get with help of DevOps. Okay, if you figure on your organization, it will show you the DevOps dashboard. I'll tell you how to create your the organization dashboards and all these things when we are started with this course. Okay, so this is all your Azure DevOps dashboard looks like. If you see what in the major tools it will offer is these are the Pi tools. I tell you what is all these Pi tools. So before explaining these Azure DevOps tools, I wanted to walk you through the DevOps life cycle. So we do have infinite loop for the DevOps, right? If you remember. So that is what I want to take you there. So I'll open, so yeah, here. So I have created my own, yeah, here. Okay. So this is the DevOps lifecycle. So where I have created this one at my own. So there, if you see, developer will push the code to GitHub, which is GitHub or Azure plus anything maybe. So where it will start, everything will be, it will start with the planning section. So in the planning section, both the development team and operations team and DevOps team will sit together. They will decide what are the features they are developing, how they are deploying the features. So they will do the planning board first, and after that they will develop the application. How to develop the application? Developer will write the code and put it in the source code repository, right? So there they'll try to push all the source code. After that, we'll build and test the application. So test build and test means, let us say if you are using Java application, we will use Maven or Gradle build tool to build the jar out of it, or a artifact, or a executable file out of your code. So then we will use that to create a Docker image. We'll release plus Docker image means we'll release the build and we'll try to create a Docker image. Okay. So till here, all this part, whatever the developer will push the code and testing and creating a Docker image, we'll call it as CI, continuous integration. So whenever the code pushed by the developer or a developer to the GitHub or any repository, the CI pipeline will trigger and it will try to build the application with the latest code changes. Okay. So now we'll take that image and we will deploy. Once the deployed, we'll operate that application and we'll monitor it and we'll give the continuous feedback to the team. So this is what the below layer we can call it as CE. So this is the continuous process. This is the continuous process, continuous integration. We are doing a continuous deployment we are doing. Whenever the user, the developer has pushed the changes, CI will be triggered. Once the CI is completed, CD will be triggered. So this is the CI/CD pipeline which I use to deploy my application. Okay. So here, if you observe, we have lot many tools and a lot many blocks we have integrated with each other. So all this we can achieve with help of Azure DevOps. That is what Azure DevOps is giving us here. Azure DevOps. So the first one is boards. So what is board means? Everyone who knows about Jira tool, right? The ticketing tool where we'll track on our work progress and all those things. So it is exactly the similar to Jira where we'll create work items. So where we create a work item issues, a big task. and will define who needs to work on this task or who needs to work on this work item and what we are working and what are the progress we are doing. All this we can able to create with the help of these boards. Boards will offer sprints, backlogs, boards. All this we can also we know how to create. Like in the Jira, they'll try to use Jira to they'll use Jira to track our work progress and all these things, right? As a sprint basis or a quarterly basis. Similarly, you can also achieve the same thing with the help of Azure boards. Azure root boards also will give you the feasibility to create work items and assign it to the users, and they will work on it. So then track the progress with help of boards. So all the planning will be done with the help of Azure boards here, right? With the help of planning, Azure boards, or all the plannings will be done with help of Azure boards. Now, next one, what we have, develop. Once the planning is done, development team will create the code, and then they will develop the code and they will push into the Azure repos. So that is what the next item we have is repos. So here repos. We everyone know about the GitHub, right? GitHub is the repo where we use to store our code. So source code management tool it is. It is a centralized repository we can push our code. So multiple users can contribute to the same project at repository. There push the code. So as similar to the repository GitHub, we have Azure repos as well. So here also you can create the repository, and here also you can push the code here. You don't need to depend on your GitHub or any of the Bitbucket, any of the source code management tools we have. So Azure will provide its own repositories. So here you can create repo and store your repos. So the next development will be taken care by this Azure repos. So once the developer has created the code and developed the code, he can push the code into the Azure repos, right? Now this building, releasing, and creating images, all this will be taken care by Azure pipelines. So with help of Azure pipelines, you can achieve. See here also have written. We can achieve CI/CD practices, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and be handled by this Azure pipelines. Okay, whatever the CI/CD process we had followed just now, that can be handled by Azure pipelines. So that is what the next tool we have is pipeline section here. So under the pipelines, you can create a pipeline. So there we need to define what are the stages we need to have. So once the stages we have completed, then we can run this pipeline so that CI/CD pipeline will be achieved. So both CI/CD can be achieved with help of Azure pipelines. So that's why I put this Azure pipelines in between CI and CD. And you have other tools as well, test plans. So here you'll write all the test cases related to your application. So once application is deployed, all the test cases will be right here. You can achieve the test plans here. And we would have one more tool called artifacts. So this is where you will try to store your artifacts. So as I told you, as a Maven example, Maven will give you a .jar file. That is not nothing but an artifact. That we will store that artifact in the Azure artifact for the future reference. So with help of these 5 tools, Azure boards, Azure repos, Azure pipelines, Azure artifacts, and Azure tests. With the help of all these 5 tools, you can achieve DevOps practices. So that is how we will integrate, we'll combine Azure with DevOps. Clear? Now we'll see how to achieve this DevSecOps. So what is DevSecOps means? Development plus security plus and operations. So earlier, how it will be is once the entire application is developed and deployed into the environment, then we will start this performance testing and security testing. All this we need to do. So the security will be at the end of the CI/CD pipeline. So once the CI/CD process is completed, at the end we'll try to do the testing, vulnerability testing, security testing, network testing. All this we need to put at the end of the deployment. So there, once you have identified the issues, once the application is deployed, again it will require a redeployment that will cost us, and it will take the more efforts and time. So to eliminate that time-taking process of fixing the issues at the end, so we have introduced DevSecOps practices. So where we'll try to shift the security to the left side. At the end, we do have security testing. So we'll move the security up with each stages of the CI/CD pipeline. So what we will do is we'll try to put security at the each stage. Here I'll try to put security. Security means security testing I do. So here what I'll do is I'll try to put the security at the first stage. So here what we will do, we'll try to scan the source code. We'll try to scan the source code what the development team has written before building the application. Before building the application, I'll try to securely scan my source code and try to provide vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are nothing but critical, medium, critical, low, or those vulnerabilities are there. If any misconfigurations are there, if any secrets are leaking, if you have uploaded any secrets, all those can be identified with help of this security scanning at the source code level. So popular tools, we have the Solar Cloud, Solar Cube, So right, with help of all those things, we can able to scan your source code and you can get the vulnerabilities. So if vulnerabilities are less, we have zero clean code you have written, then only our CI/CD pipeline will allow us to go to the next block called build and test. Okay. So here also, once the building and testing is completed, it will create a Docker image. So here also I'll put security stage I put here. So what it will do is it will scan it will scan that image as well. It will scan the image. So once the Docker image created, it will scan the image. So once the image is cleaned, then only it will try to deploy with the application. So here also I'll put security. Once the deployed application is there, so I'll try to create and try to run the software testing tool. So as DAS thing you can call it as once application is running, then dynamic application security testing. So that one we'll try to implement. We'll check how the application is working. If there is any vulnerabilities or not, we'll check in the security. So if you see here, so we are putting in every stages, we are putting the security and quality gates, all these things. So this is what we'll call it as DevOps plus security, DevSecOps. So shifting, it is also we'll call it as shift left security. Shift left security. What is shift left means? We are shifting the security part from at the end of the pipeline to from the start and each and every stages of the pipeline. So we are putting security. So security is nothing but integrating the tool. So we can't achieve anything without the tools here. So here we are using the tool called Sonar Cube or Sonar Cloud to get the code quality and all these things. Here we are using Trivy to scan the image, Trivy or Aquascan. We do have different tools. Similarly, you have different tools for Dash as well. So with help of all the security tools while integrating them in the CI/CD pipeline, DevSecOps, DevOps practices, and achieve a secure and reliable application deployment. So we can reduce lot many time here. Once without in a traditional DevOps, after deploying the application, we have to do the security testing and all those things. But in the DevSecOps practice, security testing will be done at the first of the before the building the application, deploy the application itself. So then it will deploy a secure code and application into the environments, and we can achieve the DevSecOps practice as well by integrating the different tools into your CI/CD pipelines, which is nothing but here Azure pipelines. So this is how you'll integrate Azure with your cloud. So you can combine Azure with your DevOps plus DevSecOps. And so this is about the demo. So I'll quickly walk you through the course plan as well. So this is the course plan we are trying to offer to you. So if you go down below, so these are the course curriculum. You can go to this. You can go through this course curriculum. So we'll add first everything will start with Linux only. So without Linux, you can't you can't write the pipelines and you can't perform the automations and all these things. So Linux should be there. So that's why we have included the Linux and shell scripting. So basic shell scripting will be taught here. After that, we have Azure Administration Services, and we have different concepts here. So about DevOps tools plus Azure resources, you will learn in this or in this curriculum in the course. This course will be there for 2 months, which is per day 1 hour we will spend. So 40 hours you can will complete this course within 40 hours. Typically 40 days from Monday to Friday it is, and 40 hours within 40 hours we'll try to complete this course. So at the end of the course, I'm trying to give you an end-to-end project also. So end-to-end project to deploy your application from the scratch to Azure resources with help of DevOps plus DevSecOps as well. So this is what we are trying to achieve at the end. So this is what, I think here this one we'll achieve at the end with a real-time project. So with this course, you can also achieve for the certifications like Azure 900 and Azure 104 or running 204. If you have a background of development, you can go with the 204. If you don't have any development background, you can go with 104, which is admin level. This is fundamental. This is admin, and you can also look for Azure 400, 400, which is Azure DevOps Expert. Azure DevOps Expert. So you can achieve all these 3 certifications once this course is completed. My suggestion is to go with the fundamentals, and in your order you need to take. First you need to take the fundamental certifications and 104 or 204, and then you can go with 400 certification. All these course contents will be covered in this. All these required topics to learn to achieve these certificates will be covered in this course as well. So these course timings, the batch timings, we have to decide. My team will check you each and every one of you, and will soon will providing the timings as well. For now, we are not decided the timings at home. So while, as it is a demo, so we'll give one more demo as well on the topics, on the actual topics what we are going to learn in this section, so that you can get we will decide so to take this course and all these things based on the course curriculum and my demo, and let us know. So with this, I'll conclude my demo.